Welcome to Old Dominion Realty's second live webinar. We want to thank you so much for attending again this evening as you did last month, and we look forward to hearing from you with your email questions. Hello, my name is Pam Estes with Old Dominion Realty. I've been a local real estate agent for 26 years, and joining me this evening is Terry Dart with VBS Mortgage. Terry, how long have you been in the mortgage lending business?
I think it's been about 10 years now.
Great. What are some of the things or changes that you've seen in the last 10 years?
Well, we've definitely seen guidelines have tightened quite a bit. We're requiring a lot more documentation these days. And of course, interest rates are lower than they've been in a really long time.
Definitely. And I have to agree with you on the restrictions. It just seems like each day there are new restrictions that hit. And that's why it is so important as a buyer that you have a good team working with you, a good competent real estate agent, a very good competent real estate mortgage lender as well, because it takes a team to go from pre-approval to closing. This evening we're going to again focus in on the first-time home buyer seminar, the process of pre-approval going to settlement. Again, I encourage you to email your questions to at odrva.com. The address is listed at the bottom of each screen, and let's get started with some of the review from last month. Terry? As we look at the second slide that talks about buying versus renting, there are many reasons and positive ways that you can gain by buying rather than renting. And the first thing talks about investing in your future. You're growing equity so that when you go to buy your second home, what you paid for your house in the beginning and the equity that you have gained will certainly help you with your second home purchase as well. Tax benefits, rising rent payments. Boy, that's one thing that I talk with my buyers about a lot. Locally, a lot of our townhomes are renting up to $950 to $1,050. And I know with a loan amount of $150,000, that's about what your mortgage payment would be. Would it be, Terry?
Yeah. A lot of times you'll find, especially with interest rates so low, that your mortgage payment can be cheaper than your rent payment.
Super. I know out at Shady Creek, we have new construction homes that we've been building, and they're priced at $134, substantially less than a rent payment of $950 to $1,050. We have pride of ownership, and future appreciation is very important. One of the things that my first-time home buyers talk to me about is, what's our first step, Pam? And the very first step that we go with is we need to find out how much money we have in our pocketbook. And that's when Terry starts. Terry, can you talk to us a little bit about pre-approving for a loan?
Yeah, well, the first thing that we will do is we'll take your application. We can do that over the phone, online, do it in person. And then once we have your application, we'll review your credit report. We'll evaluate your income, so we may collect things like your W-2s, your pay stubs, your tax returns. And then we'll discuss the different loan programs, the different options, what's going to fit you best, down payment, what fits your individual needs. After that, we'll issue you a pre-qualification letter, and that's a letter that you'll give your real estate agent so that they know you have secured your financing options.
That is such an important step for the realtor to have. Terry will email that document to you and, as a buyer, and to your agent with your permission. And what that does is it helps me be able to sell your contract to the listing agent, to the seller. It's an important step. So thanks, Terry. Some of the other things that we need to talk about, which comes to money, is how much money do we need possibly for down payment and things, Terry?
Well, of course, depending on your loan program and what your individual needs are, we will discuss how much you need to bring down, but there are still programs that are 100% financing, so you may not need any down payment. Another thing to think about is closing cost. And typically we say 3% of your loan amount's a good idea for your closing cost. And of course, the higher that loan amount is, the lower that percentage may be.
Wonderful. Some other things that you may have to spend some money on or choose to spend money would be a home inspection. We might want to make your contract contingent on a home inspection. I certainly encourage that. Radon inspections, that could cost you additional money, but it might be something you might choose to do. Yep. And repairs, if your roof happens to be something that might need to be replaced in a year or two, we need to look into those repairs. So some of those are things that could cost you additional money. Types of loans, Terry, tell us a little bit about some of the loans that you might focus your first-time home buyers with.
Okay. Our first-time home buyers are typically interested in your USDA loan. which is 100% financing, so you have zero money down. There's also VHDA, which is a good first-time home buyer product. There's FHA, which can be as low as 3.5% down. And then VA is a good 100% option for qualified veterans. And then, of course, you have your conventional products that can be as low as 5% down.
Wonderful. I tell a story that I had a closing in January. We happened to be working with VBS Mortgage. They were going with a USDA loan, and my my purchaser actually brought to closing only $503. So we were pleased. It doesn't always happen that way, but it felt good.
Yeah.
It felt good. Other costs that you may have would be homeowners insurance, real estate taxes, and are those escrowed into your mortgage payment, Terry?
Yes, typically you do escrow those into your mortgage payment, so everything's included in one.
Okay, great. Utilities, that would be a cost that you would have moving into your new home. Appliances, whether they need to be replaced or if they're in good shape when you purchase. Repairs and updates. POA fees that you see on the slide, what that pertains to is Property Owners Association. Again, I go back to Shady Creek and Grottos. We have a Property Owners Association with our townhomes, and that is, they'll mow your grass for you at no charge. Roof replacement, road replacement, you pay just a little bit each month or each year to keep those things going. So, moving cost, again, you may have your buddies buy pizzas and help you move, or you could have a professional moving company. So those are some of the costs that you might want to look into. Why realtors do make a difference? Well, number one is that we want to sit down and search for the home that is important to you. Terry has given us the purchase price that we need to be geared towards. Number one, we need to know what that is. Second thing is we're going to sit down in my office, we're going to talk about the location, bedrooms, bathrooms, a garage. A garage might be something you want or might be something that you need along with the basement. So we'll do those things and we'll put it into a software program that I have. Once a new listing hits, that email will go automatically to you and you'll be able to stay on top of the market as it's affecting. You can also visit my website at pamestishomes.com and take a look at new listings that we have or all listings with the Harrisonburg-Rockingham County Board of Realtors. We want to research the property information for you as a buyer's agent. We want to find out what are the age of the roof, the heating system, the cooling system, things that we need to be aware of. We prepare your docs, your contracts, we negotiate the terms, we schedule important inspections, your home inspection, radon inspection. You may need a roof inspection. Keeping everything on task, and then answering any and all of your questions. So I have so many of my people say, Pam, you've got to love your job, and I've stayed in it for 26 years because you like to look at pretty homes. Yes, I like to look at pretty homes, but the most important thing of my job is to hold your hand from the time that Terry approves you to the time we close. That's what my job's all about as a buyer's agent. So now we found your dream home and we want to make an offer. We need to negotiate and discuss the terms that we want to put in there. Home inspections, closing costs. We may ask the seller to pay closing costs. And Terry, is that acceptable for certain loans?
Yeah, a lot of our loan programs do allow for the seller to pay your closing cost, and that's something your real estate agent will help negotiate for you.
Super. We'll make an offer. We'll take that to the listing agent. They may accept our offer or they may make a counter. We may counter back to them, and ultimate goal is that we reach a purchase price and an agreed contract. At that point, now we go back to Terry.
Yeah.
And Terry will then tell us what are the necessary steps that we do once we give you a ratified contract, Terry.
Well, at that point, we'll collect any additional documentation that we may have not gotten already. Again, tax returns, W-2s, pay stubs, your bank statements, maybe retirement statements, a copy of your driver's license. And then we move your loan on to the processing underwriting stage. And during that stage, they'll order your appraisal to make sure that the value is there. They'll order your title work through the title company you choose. And during that time, you're going to want to shop for your homeowner's insurance. So you're going to want to call around, get a few quotes, and then just let us know who it is you want to use. As the underwriter and the processor review a complete file, then they'll do a final verification of employment, and then they'll approve your loan and clear you to close.
Wonderful. As a real estate agent and as a buyer, that's what we're always waiting to hear from Terry, is that we're on clear to close. Once we've gotten our clear to close, then Terry, What do you do with reviewing the documentations with the buyer?
Well, we'll go over the final documentation, the settlement statement, so that you're very comfortable when you're at closing. Your closing agent will go over that with you as well, and you'll sign all the final stuff.
Wonderful. Title insurance, I noticed as a bullet point of this slide. I have so many of my buyers ask me, I noticed that there's owner's title insurance and there's lender's title insurance. Terry, can you tell us briefly the difference between those two types?
Title insurance is basically, it protects against loss that may be due to title defects. So you have your lender's policy and your owner's policy, and we require on every loan that you have your lender's policy, but the owner's is an optional cost.
Wonderful. And I have so many buyers that do ask me, do you recommend that I get buyer's title insurance? And I certainly encourage you to talk to your attorney about that and your title agent about that. That is the person that you want to get your best advice from with regard to whether you purchase it. Then you get your keys. So buyers will say, Pam, when I get to move in, you give the money at closing, you get the keys at closing, and you're ready to move in. So that's our process of starting with a pre-approval and then moving on to closing. This is at the end of our first part of our session, a review of what we've done with regard to the process of buying your first home. We're going to take a short break, and at that point you'll be meeting with Renee Whitmore at Old Dominion Realty and Ron Ross with VBS Mortgage. They'll be fielding your questions that you've been sending throughout the seminar at mail@odrva.com. Terry and I both want to thank you so much for attending this evening's session. And Terry, if people want to work with you and contact you, how would they go about doing that?
You can visit us online at vbsmortgage.com.
Wonderful. And I'm anxious to hear from you. I'd love to work with you. And you can contact me at pamesteshomes.com. At that point, you'll find my cell number, my email address, and I'll be glad to be back in touch with you as soon as possible. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
What do all these people have in common? Potential home buyers. So whether you're a first-time home buyer or an experienced one, let Old Dominion Realty help you with your real estate needs. Old Dominion Realty, built on integrity with proven results. Contact us at odrva.com or call 1-800-296-2455.
Your home is the biggest investment you'll make in your life, and choosing the right real estate company is the first step. Old Dominion Realty has unparalleled experience and expertise in the real estate market. Simply stated, we are built on integrity with proven results. Old Dominion Realty. Experience the Old Dominion Realty advantage. Call, click, or stop by to connect with one of our experienced agents. Old Dominion Realty. Built on integrity with proven results.
What do all these people have in common? Potential home buyers. So whether you're a first-time home buyer or an experienced one, let Old Dominion Realty help you with your real estate needs. Old Dominion Realty, built on integrity with proven results. Contact us at odrva.com or call 1-800-296-2455.
Your home is the biggest investment you'll make in your life, and choosing the right real estate company is the first step. Old Dominion Realty has unparalleled experience and expertise in the real estate market. Simply stated, we are built on integrity with proven results. Old Dominion Realty. Experience the Old Dominion Realty advantage. Call, click, or stop by to connect with one of our experienced agents. Old Dominion Realty. Built on integrity with proven results.
Welcome back, and we thank you so much for joining us for round 2 of our Old Dominion Realty First-Time Homebuyer Seminar. I want to thank Pam and Terry for giving us a review from what we discussed last month, and we're really excited to be able to be back here with you today. My name is Renee Whitmore. I work with Old Dominion Realty. Been a real estate agent in the Valley for 10 years, and you can learn a little bit more about me and my experience selling real estate at reneewhitmore.com. I'm joined this evening with Ron Ross from VBS Mortgage. Ron, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, I've been a mortgage lender in the Harrisonburg-Rockingham County area since August of 2004, so almost 10 years.
Great. Ron and I are going to be answering a lot of questions that we get working with first-time home buyers. A lot of times we get asked the same questions over and over again, and we figured from the questions that we didn't have a chance to answer last month and the questions that we hear on a pretty regular basis, that this would be a great time to answer those questions from you. The first question that we have here is, should I buy a house if it's in the floodplain? And there's not really any yes or no answer to this question, Ron.
Right.
A lot of times it's going to definitely depend upon what kind of budget you have. The lender is likely to require flood insurance, and Ron, can you, since the lender is going to be the one that's going to require this, can you talk a little bit about how this is going to impact your loan?
Sure, yeah, and whether or not you decide to purchase a home in a flood zone, just like Renee had mentioned, is definitely going to be something that you're going to need to be comfortable with before you do it. But being in a flood zone doesn't automatically disqualify you from a mortgage. But we do and have lent money on homes that are in a flood zone throughout the years. It does change things in the sense that you are required to have an additional insurance policy, so you would need to discuss that with your insurance agent and determine what that amount would be. There are different types of flood zones, some that are probably more expensive than others. So how that fits into your budget will definitely need to be determined with your agent. And we don't determine what the flood zones are, just so people know that that's something that FEMA does, which is a government agency. They have drawn the lines in our area to determine what are Yeah, if the dwelling itself or anything attached to the dwelling is part of the flood zone, then that insurance would be required. Unfortunately, even if it's just the back part of a deck or something like that. Now, if it's just the corner part of your lot and it's land only, nothing the dwelling or nothing attached to the dwelling is part of that, then no, it wouldn't be required then.
Great, thanks so much, Ron. Moving on to our next question. Can I buy a short sale or a bank-owned property? And even though, bank-owned properties and short sales, they seem like, a fantastic deal. A lot of folks, you can get a lot lower purchase price on a short sale or a foreclosure, but they're not necessarily always the most optimal choice for buyers, and especially first-time home buyers. There's a lot of different factors that go into purchasing a short sale or a foreclosure type property. Some of those things can be things such as the condition of the property. A lot of times, Ron, these properties are owned by folks who are having a difficulty making the payments on their home. So in a course of having a difficult time making those payments, they may also have a hard time maintaining the home as well. So the condition could be a little less than ideal on these properties. So a buyer may have to look at budgeting and how much money they have in their budget for making necessary repairs after the close of the home, or possibly even before the close of the home, as well as maybe replacing anything, a lot of times appliances, light fixtures, that sort of thing that may be missing from the home. A lot of times these properties are being sold as is. The sellers of these properties, whether it's the bank or whether it's the seller from a short sale, they're not able to repair things, so the property is being sold as is. A lot of times that kind of plays into the condition of the property and them not being able to make those repairs as well. Something else along these same lines is the timing of purchasing these properties. Short sales may sound like they are quick and easy, but they are super long. They can take a lot longer to process and get through the approval process than a regular normal sale. So it can take a lot longer, and a lot of times, the first-time home buyers are excited about buying that first house and just don't have, maybe the patience to wait out a couple extra months. Also, along with those timing, if you're buying from a bank-owned property, if the bank is the owner of the property, they have specific time restrictions and contract guidelines that they're going to be super strict and adhere to those, which may not work well with some of the first-time homebuyer loans that we've got out there. They may take a little bit longer than what the bank is allowing. And I think it's really important to discuss with your, with your real estate agent, with your lender, whether or not the property that you're looking for is going to be a good fit for you. So it might be that the short sale and the foreclosure or the bank-owned property would be a good way to go, but then again, it may not work best for your situation. Did you want to say anything about?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You'll probably hear a lot of stories out there that are negative towards short sales and foreclosed properties. You'll hear some good ones, but it's certainly a different process and not one that's always easy.
Yeah, and I think too, one of the things that can play into the short sales, the bank owns, especially for the first-time home buyers, is that appraisal process, correct?
Yeah, the appraisal will be done, as Renee had mentioned, the property is going to be sold as is. So when the appraisal is done, if there are deficiencies with the property, those items, if the appraiser notes it, that has to be addressed before closing, repairs will need to be made. So it's probably an expense that's going to be on your shoulders versus the bank, because they're selling the property as is. So it's just a more cumbersome type process.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Ron. The next question that we have here, after I find my house, how long until I can close and move in? And this is something that we get all the time, because you found that perfect home and you're super excited about moving in. You've got your paint colors picked out, and you just can't wait to make it your own. Usually there's a lot of different factors that really do contribute to how long this process can take, from the time that you've got that contract on the property until the time that you close. And the biggest factor here is going to be your loan approval process. Ron, tell us a little bit about how long that process will take for them.
Yeah, I would say typically most contracts are written with a 30-day commitment period, probably close in 45 to 60 days. But, again, every situation is different, and we will work with, situations as needed. Obviously, if it takes, if the timeline is greater than 45 days, there's no problem with that. But if the timeline is less than 30 days, we guarantee a 30-day or a 28-day close right now on purchases anyway, unless you're doing a USDA loan. USDAs are a little bit different animal because they have a double underwriting process. So, but if you need to even close in a shorter period of time than that, if things work out properly, we can do that. So we can work with pretty much any situation.
That's definitely good to know. Another question that we get a lot of times that goes along with this is, about giving your landlord notice. So a lot of our first-time home buyers are still renting, and they want to know, when can I tell them that I'm moving out? And the best advice I can give with this is to consult your lease. A lot of times your lease is going to give you the amount of time that you're going to need in order to give your landlord notice. It's going to tell you whether you have to give them 30 days notice or 60 days notice, 90-day notice. So definitely be looking at your lease, making sure that whatever time frame that lease states is something that you're going to be well within. Something else I like to tell folks too, Ron, is sometimes it's not good to give that notice to your landlord until you get your final loan approval. Do you think that's probably pretty good advice?
Yeah, I think that's solid advice. Obviously, it kind of depends on the relationship you have with whoever you're renting from, but I would say waiting for that approval, knowing that you're going to have a home that you can move into, it would probably be good to wait until you have that.
Definitely. So moving on, the next question that we have is, I heard you talk about radon. What is this, and how do we test for it? Basically, just a really quick synopsis of what radon is. Radon is a gas that is, found in rocks. And since, we live here in Rockingham County, it is aptly named. There's lots of rocks underneath the ground here. So when we're building our houses and we're cracking those rocks open, a lot of times the radon gas can be emitted up through the foundations of our homes. Now, the question becomes, is it a concern for you as a buyer? And that is something that is going to be a decision that you make on your own. So visiting websites such as the EPA.gov website, which is a government-funded agency, they're going to be giving you some information about what it is and how it can affect you as well and your family. So be checking that out, and really it's good for you to decide this on your own, making sure that whether or not you think it's a concern. If it is important to you, the good thing is that we can test for it. You can have a radon test in your home. usually runs about the same time that you do a home inspection. And so your home inspector will put that radon test out and get you the limits on that to see if you're within the EPA guidelines for radon levels. The other good news is if you do have radon, there are ways to get rid of it and to mitigate it from your home. So even if you do have radon and you test for it, you can definitely get rid of it. So it's not something to be super scared about. Test for it, and if it's there, just mitigate. So Ron, one of the questions that we get a lot of times when it comes to additional inspections over the appraisal is a radon inspection required for the loan?
It is not. It's obviously radon's a hot topic. It's something most people do before they purchase a property is get that test done, but it is currently not something that we require. You actually, at closing, you'll sign a hold harmless agreement. It's just a piece of paper basically stating that if you detect radon in the future, then you can't hold anybody liable for that. So, but we currently do not require that inspection.
Great. Thank you so much. So moving on to the next question we have here is, how do I know that my house that I am buying will not fall apart? What a good question. Nobody wants to be in the midst of the movie The Money Pit. You definitely want to make sure that the property that you are purchasing is not going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to make repairs. Nobody wants to make one repair and have to move on to another repair, to another repair, to another repair. One of the best ways to ensure that the home that you're getting is in a good condition, or at least the condition that you expect it to be in, or that you can find acceptable, is to have a home inspection. The home inspector, when they come into your home, for our typical first-time home buyer sized homes, they're going to charge anywhere from $250 to $350 to do that home inspection. On top of that, you can have them do that radon inspection, which may be an extra $100. But so this is an inspection that it's fairly inexpensive to have done, but for the peace of mind that it's going to give you in purchasing that home, it's totally worth that couple $100. So I would definitely suggest for any of our buyers, and really I highly suggest to any of my buyers, to go ahead and have that done before we move too far into that contract process. A lot of the things that home inspector is going to check when they're looking at your home or the home that you're potentially purchasing is the heating system and the cooling system. They also look at plumbing systems, electrical, basically any of the systems of the home. So the roof, making sure that it's not leaking, checking the foundation for any funky structural cracks and that sort of thing. So really just checking all the systems of the house, making sure there's no material adverse defects of the house. That's kind of the technical terms that we use in our contracts. One of the things to note that they're not looking for cosmetic defects. If the carpet's kind of pulled up in a corner, or if there's a scuff on the wall, they're not looking at those things. It's basically things that are going to affect the functionality of the home. So, Ron, again, same with the radon question, is this something that the loan that you as the lender is going to want to look at?
Yeah, we do not. We as you had mentioned earlier, the home inspection is for the borrower's purpose. It's for you to determine whether the house is in the condition you want to purchase it in. What we'll do, and as Terry mentioned earlier, what we'll do as part of the underwriting process is order an appraisal. The appraisal is done to determine the value of the property. The home inspection is done to determine the condition of the property. Now, if there are items in the appraisal process, like a hole in the roof or a cracked foundation, something that's detrimental to the value of the property, then it'll need to be addressed before closing. But otherwise, it's just to determine the value.
Great, thanks so much. So the next question that we have here is, can I make an offer below the asking price? And again, this is something that you'll want to discuss with your real estate agent, with your buyer's agent. As a buyer's agent, when I sit down with my buyers and we're looking at properties, we want to determine what the best offer price is. Whether or not that offer price is below the listing price, whether it's the full listing price, or maybe it might even be over the listing price. That's something that I like to sit down with my buyers and discuss with them. What we look at to determine what the best offer price is, we like to look at values of neighboring properties. So properties that are currently on the market for sale. We also look at values of properties that have sold recently in the neighborhood. And we also like to look at the days on market of the current home. If it's been on the market for a really long time, checking to see if there's been any price reductions on that. and also just kind of getting a feel for, you know, the history of the home and how long it's been there on the market. So we take into consideration a lot of different factors when looking at the offer price that we're doing, and that's something that you'll definitely want to sit down with your buyer's agent to have them kind of walk you through that process there. That kind of brings us a little bit back to that whole appraisal question. Ron, let's say we have a contract on the property and the price that we've offered them and that we've come to an agreement with the seller is maybe that's more than or less than the appraisal value. Can you kind of walk us through if that doesn't actually match up 100%?
Sure, and you hear the term appraisal mentioned a lot in the loan process because it is really a very vital part of the puzzle. It's what gives lenders it's what bears a lot of the weight in the loan process because that's what we have to fall back on to make sure that the collateral is in decent shape and what it's worth. So, yeah, the appraised value compared to the purchase price. What we do is we go off the lesser of the two. We go off either the appraised value or the purchase price, whichever is lower. So obviously, if the appraised value comes in higher than what the purchase price is, then you've done good. You've gotten a good deal. If the value comes in lower than the purchase price, then you have to tap the brakes a little bit and maybe look at renegotiating the contract or talk to your lender about whether it's a possibility to bring extra money to closing or whether you even want to proceed with the contract or not. So it's very important, I think, when you're sitting down with a realtor to discuss this, what you want to offer, because a lot of the things that they're going to be looking at to determine what a good offer price is the same thing that an appraiser is going to look at when they're determining the value of the property. The homes in the area that have sold like that with similar square footage, things like that. So it's a very important thing for you to go over at the beginning of the contract stage with your realtor.
Most definitely. That kind of brings us in, because we talked a lot about buyer's agent when we were talking about you know, the offer price and the appraisals and that sort of thing. So that brings us to the next question that we have, and that is, what do you mean by buyer's agent? You know, we use this term a lot, and basically, as a buyer's agent is the agent that works for the buyer. And basically, what the buyer's agent's duties are is to walk you as a buyer through the process. Basically holding your hand through figuring out what it is that you're looking for in the first place, what house, you know, what are the things that you need in the house. Also looking at, you know, helping you to negotiate the contract, being the liaison between you, the lender, the title company, the seller, and just all kinds of other people that are vital in the terms of the contract. So the buyer's agent is there to help everybody through the process, make it as smooth of a process as possible, and if any problems do arise, kind of help to work through those problems and really be a problem solver at that point too. So they're there to help you negotiate as well the terms of the contract. They represent the buyer in the contract, which is really important. And you know, a lot of times people say, hey, you know, I'm getting this representation from you. You know, how much do I owe you? Like, how much do I have to pay you? They start getting their checkbooks out. And the really cool thing about being a buyer's agent and buying a property is that you actually get a real estate agent to represent you as a buyer for free. A lot of times, if you're purchasing a property from a seller who's already listed their property with another real estate agent, they've contracted with them to pay for both real estate agents' commissions. So that's really a cool thing, is that you're getting representation and not really paying anything for it. So.
Yeah, and I explain to people when I'm meeting with them as well how important that is, because even though it's not something you're paying for, it doesn't make it less valuable. It's important for you to connect with your realtor, Pam or Renee, and get to know them. And throughout I mean, you're going to get. Most realtors get pretty close with their clients, I think, throughout the process, because you really get to know one another. We're more just the money people, so you guys deal with more of the personal aspect. Yeah. So having an agent that you get to know and that represents you through the entire process is invaluable.
Yeah. A lot of times, you know, as a buyer's agent, you do get to know the people on the other side, you know, your buyers really well, and a lot of times you can figure out exactly what the home is that they're looking for, and kind of help find them that property, and you know by the end exactly what they're looking for, so right. You can really help them find exactly what it is that they're looking for. So this kind of brings us actually to the end of all of the questions that we have. from our, from our seminar last month, as well as, any that we may have had come in. And, first of all, I want to thank Terry and Ron for helping, join us today and helping us to kind of navigate this process for our first-time home buyers. It's really important to have a really good team of, real estate agents, lenders, and, everybody that's involved in the process. Because the more cohesive that unit is, the more smooth the process can be. And, it's a stressful process for everybody. So the easier it can be for everybody, the better. So I want to thank you as our first-time home buyers for tuning in with us this evening. We hope that all this information was really valuable to you. If you do have questions that come up over the course of the next couple of days or so, you can still email those to mail@odrva.com. Also, we have a page on our website dedicated solely to first-time home buyers. You can go to odrva.com and you click on the Sellers and Buyers tab at the top of the website, and that'll take you, you'll have an option there for first-time home buyer information. You can find the seminar that we've done today will be uploaded there in the next couple of days. The seminar we did last month, if you happen to miss that, that'll be there as well. And it's a really good resource. Ron, I think you guys, we even have a link over to some resources to you guys as well.
Yeah, we do. We have a home buyers workbook in the site as well. And then obviously, if you have any questions about anything, you can always contact either Terry or myself.
Excellent. I'm sure they can go to your website, right?
Absolutely.
Excellent. This kind of leads us into, our very last question that we had that came up from our seminar last month. It does not talk about our first-time home buyers. It actually goes into the next session that we're going to be having. And the question that we have is, I own a home and I'm thinking of selling. What do I need to do to get my house ready to put on the market? And this is the perfect time to start thinking about that. First of all, it's springtime, the spring market, everybody wants to put their house on the market. So if you'll join myself and Pam next month at 6:30, you'll go back to Old Dominion Realty's website, odrva.com. You'll watch the same flash player on the front page there, and we're going to be talking you through getting your home ready and just really hitting that market really good in the spring so that you can really outshine all the rest of your competition that's going to be out there as well. So we look forward to seeing you next month. Again, join me and Pam at 6:30, and we look forward to seeing you then.